The Owensboro Chamber of Commerce came into being in the year 1913. At the turn of the century, the fledgling city was growing. Business was booming. And the chamber was formed from the Owensboro Businessmen's Association, which began in 1893. This motivated group was formed with a vision for the future, and its members would show time and time again their dedication to the community of Owensboro would not fade throughout the years. The reasoning behind forming the Owensboro Chamber of Commerce was simple. Business owners knew they could accomplish more together than they ever could alone. 7 cents a day could get a local business minimum membership. 15 organizations made up the inaugural class of the Owensboro Chamber, including Glenmore Distilleries and the Owensboro Messenger. J.A. Manning, the first president of the Chamber, writes on a penny postcard addressed to Glenmore Distilleries Company on November 22, 1913. It would be a very fitting act upon the part of the members of this chamber to be present in the City Council chamber on the evening of December 1st to witness the induction into office of the incoming mayor and members of the City Council, and to express them our good wishes, explain the purpose of this organization, and the importance of the two bodies working together for the general welfare of Owensboro. This call from the first president of the chamber to work with elected officials for the advancement of Owensboro would become a theme that would resonate across decades and centuries to come. One of the group's earliest projects was a showcasing of products made in Owensboro with the purpose of bringing business owners together. A letter to the board of directors of the Owensboro Chamber of Commerce states, "It was the scene of the most dazzling and attractive exposition of homemade and homegrown products ever held in a city the size of Owensboro. Not less than 25,000 people crossed the threshold of the armory during the week, notwithstanding it rained nearly every day." From the beginning, the Chamber's mission was to keep businesses in Owensboro and to spur the growth of new ventures. In 1914, the Chamber intervened when it learned that the Owensboro Wagon Wheel Company may relocate to Evansville. A Chamber committee promised to sell $100,000 of the company's preferred stock if it would remain. As a result, the company stayed in Owensboro. This is an early example of the Chamber's involvement in economic development. Throughout the years, the Chamber worked to further define the economic role with the city and the county governments to create Industry Incorporated, which evolved into the Chamber's sister organization, the Greater Owensboro Economic Development Corporation. Other important initiatives of the early Chamber included to aid in every possible way the building of a bridge across the Ohio River, and to encourage the building of interurban railroads. The Entertainment Committee was also instructed to make arrangements for some entertainment for the public on the 4th of July with a free band. Despite a promising future, the early Chamber still faced tough issues. There was a growing concern that there was not enough hotel space for conventions in Owensboro. In order to grow, the Chamber recognized this need but struggled to find solutions. As Owensboro was on the move in the 20th century, business continued to boom, and the Chamber evolved. In 1931, the organization released its first publication entitled Owensboro, Davis County, Kentucky, the Friendly City. Owensboro was described as a beautiful city on the Ohio, a delightful place to visit, and a wonderful place to live. A book of registered dues from 1936 to 1943 includes hundreds of companies, including Field Packaging, which is now SFG Specialty Food Group, Alexander & Company, Owensboro Wagon Company, Owensboro Grain Company, Greenwell Chisholm, Modern Welding, and Hotel Owensboro. C. Waitman Taylor Jr. joined the Chamber in the 1950s and would be a driving force in the organization for decades.
I joined General Electric in 1952, and at that time they gave several of us memberships in the Chamber of Commerce. In the 50s, everything kind of went Owensboro's way. General Electric came on strong, the steel mill was going strong, Westinghouse was strong here. We probably had twice as many industrial jobs then as we do now. But that also made us vulnerable because we were so dependent on industrial jobs.
Like any other organization, the Owensboro Chamber of Commerce has faced adversity over the years.
General Electric peaked in 1967 with 6,700 employees. And then they began immediate layoff. For instance, by 1976, they were down to 1,800. So in that period of time, we lost 5,000 jobs. Not many communities could have taken the lick we took and still survive. So as economics affected the whole city, it affected the chamber. But prior to that, we also had problems. And Jim Bugg, who was president of Western Kentucky Gas, which is now part of Atmos, came down and served as executive director of the Chamber of Commerce for no pay for a couple of years in order to keep the chamber going.
The determination of its members to keep Owensboro on the move kept the chamber together through difficult times, sustaining it for future generations. On January 26, 1958, a special insert in the Messenger Inquirer provided a 7-point program that was launched by the chamber to focus on Main Street improvement, transportation by rail, highway goals, aviation, industrial relations and development, and a legislative program to grow Owensboro.
When I was president of the chamber in 1967, we decided we would do the regatta. And of course, I said it, got it all going, but then my term was up. And George Willis, who succeeded me as chamber president, and made that regatta an event that was a major event.
The 1970s continued to experience growth under the leadership from Waitman Taylor.
And I continued to work with the chamber because I recognized the value of the chamber, especially working with the Industrial Foundation and prospects.
The 1970s saw the birth of the International Barbecue Festival, Owensboro's most famous of festivals.
Back in the late 70s, my wife and I attended a food festival, one of their ethnic weekends up in Louisville. And on the way back, we started talking about how neat it would be to have a food festival in Owensboro, and we had the perfect food because we were famous for barbecue in Davis County. And we decided, why not celebrate the fact that Owensboro has this 150, 200-year history of barbecue.
Cooking teams from local Catholic churches were asked to produce their best barbecue for an annual competition. The flavors created in these barbecue pits satisfied taste buds from all over the world. In the 1980s, building community pride was the name of the game when the Chamber launched the Shine on Owensboro campaign to brand and promote Owensboro. Local artist Rex Robinson created an original painting to promote the campaign. The 1980s saw the renewed interest in downtown with the Downtown Owensboro Incorporated organization. The Pinocchio's Deli and the Raines Building became examples of restoration and revitalization.
The country was in quite a recession in the early 1980s, and it was a tough time for business. I remember we organized an effort to create the first real paid position for economic development in Owensboro, and we got money from the Riverport Authority, from the Industrial Foundation, and from the Chamber to hire our first full-time executive director for what would eventually become Industry, Inc. Some of the things that we did back then, we created the Leadership Owensboro program. We started work on the Civic Center, what we call the Civic Center. It became the River Park Center.
In 1988, state and local government, along with businesses and individuals, combined funds to help build the River Park Center. The River Park Center became a bustling center for the arts, hosting 700 events a year, including events featuring on NPR, WNIN, and QVC. It would become the premier civic landmark on the downtown riverfront.
We had a higher education committee that publisher John Hager headed up. The Higher Education Committee eventually recommended and created the Owensboro Community College.
As the Chamber entered the 1990s, a strategic planning process began. The Chamber brought together elected officials, plant managers, farmers, educators, and health professionals with a united goal in mind: to lead the region successfully into the 21st century. A Regional Vision 2001 report was released under the supervision of Mayor David Atkinson, with a focus on thinking bigger.
In the mid-1990s, we really started to look beyond our county borders. We knew Owensboro and Davis County was a nice, cohesive, strong community, but we also started to look at the advantages we had in the region. One of the things that caused our more regional outlook was the fact that we were building this bridge across the Ohio River, and we had to work with our neighbors and make friends up and down the 231 in southern Indiana. We were also working on a variety of other projects to recruit industry to this area, and we realized that there were some industrial sites, like those across the river where AK Steel located, where Indiana, Michigan located. In Hancock County, there were areas around Owensboro that had very, very attractive industrial sites that Owensboro would benefit from. So we started to market ourselves more as a regional hub, not just a self-contained city and county.
There was a strong consensus coming out of the initial planning process that we would all benefit by thinking more regionally. This dedication to working together and being aware of Owensboro's place in the region and the state served to move the city into a new era, an era of progress. Friday After 5 began in 1996 with 4 concerts and grew into a 16-week festival for the entire tri-state, bringing in 50,000 visitors. The flood of events surrounding the River Park Center began to add more excitement to the prospect of building a world-class riverfront. In 2002, the Chamber organized the Community Concepts Conference, which led to a visit to Columbus, Georgia. It became clear from the process that in order for Owensboro to continue to grow regionally, nationally, and internationally, the river must be used as the anchor for future advancements. With the new emphasis on regionalism came a more dynamic name for the organization in 2003, the Greater Owensboro Chamber of Commerce, now poised to impact not only Owensboro's business community, but also the regional community. The Chamber was very aware that Owensboro continued to be on the move. The Rooster Booster Breakfast meeting, since its inception in the 1960s, has become a signature event of the Chamber of Commerce.
Hi, I'm Kirkpatrick, and I've had the privilege of being the MC for the Rooster Booster Breakfast for almost 40 years. Now, the Rooster Booster Breakfast began back in the early 60s, and a group of businessmen would actually meet in the basement of Gabe's restaurant. There were probably only 15 or 20 people there. I remember one of the first meetings that I ever went to, maybe there were 30 people there to hear a young politician that was running for office. He was going to be the Lieutenant Governor. Wendell Ford, I think was his name. I wonder what became of him. Well, that was just the first of many wonderful speakers that we've had throughout the 35 to 36 years that I've been able to be the MC for the Rooster Booster Breakfast. And I can tell you that the Chamber has a wonderful reputation, not only throughout the state, but really throughout the nation. Because for a city our size to have 200 or 300 or 400 business leaders show up for a breakfast on a Thursday morning is something really kind of special. And just a moment. Hello? 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 This is the Good News phone. Well, that is good news. That's right. Well, they're right. If you think the past has been exciting, wait till you hear what's going on right now at the Chamber.
Today, the Chamber has over 850 members and is run by a 20-person board of directors. Among its ongoing efforts are the Go Vote initiative, aimed at reducing voter apathy, and the Emerge Owensboro program, which focuses on educating and engaging individuals to maximize their leadership potential in the community. Throughout these and other ongoing programs, the Chamber is dedicated to identifying potential key leaders in the community and developing their talents. In collaboration with the city, county, and EDC, the Chamber has supported and pushed for the riverfront revitalization that has taken place in recent years. Private investors are jumping in and making Owensboro a spectacular place to live, work, and visit, or to grow a business or enterprise because of these extraordinary downtown developments. Owensboro now boasts of having an international reach without losing its all-important hometown feel. Throughout the years, the Chamber has been the primary business advocacy group for the community. The early development of the Owensboro-Davis County Regional Airport resulted from the Chamber's Aviation Committee, and The Owensboro-Davis County Convention and Visitors Bureau grew from the Chamber's Tourist and Convention Division. Looking to the future, the Chamber wants to be instrumental in providing solutions for its members, such as access to healthcare information for small businesses, which make up more than 50% of businesses in Owensboro. The Chamber will continue pushing for an interstate for Owensboro so that someday I-67 will provide even better access for business, industry, and tourism. It will also continue to work with elected officials to lobby for legislation and tax reform to benefit Owensboro's interests of economic development, tourism, and infrastructure. A shining example of the future of Owensboro is the community-owned Owensboro Health System. As the largest employer in the region, its economic impact is abundant. When the new Owensboro Health Hospital is open in 2013, it will be one of the most advanced hospitals in the country. It will provide advanced care and access to medical experts, and will attract talented professionals, researchers, and more. Other recently expanded large employers, such as U.S. Bank Home Mortgage, continue to use Owensboro Resources, its hardworking, dedicated human capital. One of the most exciting projects currently on the horizon is the new Owensboro Convention Center, set to open in January 2014. After a great run by the Executive Inn as a convention center and an entertainment venue, the new convention center will bring additional business to town, whether small shops and entertainment venues or large employers such as Boardwalk Pipelines or First Security Bank. Serving as an anchor, the convention center is strengthening a downtown presence for investors and will infuse life into an already booming Owensboro landscape. The addition of the Hampton Inn and Suites and Holiday Inn to the area tackles the problems identified as early as 1913 and lays the foundation for the successes of the next 100 years. Another exciting project of the future will be the completion of an international tourist attraction, the International Bluegrass Music Center. The expanded 30,000 square foot museum will feature a bluegrass music-themed restaurant, a 1,000-seat theater for concerts, the Bluegrass Hall of Fame, an outdoor performance space for 2,000-plus visitors. The Chamber has consistently promoted an entrepreneurial spirit in Owensboro. It has served as a connecting point for business owners and community members to come together and make things happen. Owensboro's leaders and investors are born here, live here, and they die here. They put money into getting things done, and they don't just invest in business. They invest in education, in the arts, in recreation, and in the general appearance of Owensboro. They know how to connect all those dots and create success in all segments of society, so we can continue to be a great community. What began as a small river town of 15,000 is now the fourth largest city in Kentucky. Owensboro, Kentucky is a growing and vibrant city with international reach. Its past is rich in history, its present is steady in growth, and its future is filled with promise. As the Greater Owensboro Chamber of Commerce celebrates 100 years and looks forward to the next 100 years, it will keep doing what it does best: provide leadership, develop new leaders, and remain a key presence and voice for the business community.
Rich in history, steady in growth, a future filled with promise, a landscape for progress. On the move, Owensboro, on the move, on the move, Owensboro, on the move. Yeah.
The path for progress has never been more exciting. Owensboro continues to be on the move.